Let's go out to Detroit Rock City and talk to Vanessa. What's up, Vanessa?
Hi, how are you?
Partying. What are you up to?
Just doing some grocery shopping, some around the house stuff.
Good for you. That sounds more fun than being a podcaster. What's up?
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. This is actually kind of a scam of a job. It's pretty cool. What's up?
So, I wanted to talk to you about something that's been kind of brewing inside of me over the past 2 years.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try and not get emotional so I can get through this. So I apologize.
Don't ever apologize for getting emotional on this show. You're free to feel as you wish on this show.
So, thank you. So my question is, how do I maintain healthy family unit when I've lost so much respect for my husband because he's not the father I need him to be? And it has completely strained our personal relationship so much that it's just completely unrecognizable from what it was, before we had kids.
Give me some examples.
So, just a quick story, a quick backstory, just because it's relevant to my question. So, me and my husband, we've been married 8 years. We have a 2-year-old. Our relationship was very quick when it happened. We had an online relationship, and within 8-9 months, we decided we had to be together, and the best thing to do was to get married. So he left his whole life behind, his family, his work, everything, to come and live with me across the country. And we started basically our new family together. And the first couple years of our marriage were quite tumultuous. We were unemployed. We didn't have anywhere to live. I severed connection with half my family, and it only just made our bond so much stronger.
Was there abuse, or was there what was the tumultuous part? Why'd half your family quit talking to him?
Because my father is textbook narcissist, and my relationship with him was quite emotionally just very damaging. And it wasn't until I got married that I really had the courage to kind of stand up to him. And it wasn't anything that my husband did. It's just seeing how he treated me through my husband's eyes just kind of gave me courage to stand up to my father and, break that relationship with him. And just my husband was just with me. And,
so
and
for the first time in your life, you realized you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Or you're not you're not the bad
crazy.
guy. Okay.
And that I am not this angry person that I am, because the second we broke connections with him, I became this so calm, loving person, and I couldn't recognize myself. And, it all had to do because I was just under so much mental stress prior to this. And so I have so much, to thank to my husband for. And he didn't actually do anything. All he did was love me and support me. He didn't do,
So fast forward, you have a 2-year-old now. How have things changed? When you say you're disappointed in the father he is.
So we talked about when we got married, we were on the same page.
Bring me to now. Bring me to now. Things change over the course of a decade. Bring me to right now.
So he is very disconnected from our child. I became a mom overnight, and I tried to give him so much time to adjust to being a father. I know, some men, it takes time, but he is so disengaged. He's disengaged from our new family. We go to do family things, and he chooses to stay home and find things to do at home. And it's gotten to the point over 2 years that I have not seen any growth in him as, a husband, a father, because he can't just be a husband anymore, right? He has to be this father now. Yeah. And our relationship has strained so much. We used to be so good together, and it's just gone out the window. And no one has, we've never had, big fights or anything like that. It's kind of just this cloud that's now hanging above us.
Right.
Constantly.
So he's not on the phone with me. I'd love to talk to him if he ever wants to call in. I'd love to talk to him. Because here's my promise to you. He doesn't like the way things are either.
Oh, I'm sure of it.
But
yeah.
I want to paint you a picture and possibly give you a few things. Now, when I give you a few ideas, I don't want you to take these ideas as though this is your fault in any way, okay? But here's the deal. There's a great saying, not by your hand, but in your lap. You didn't make all of this happen exactly the way this was. You played a role. You're married. You're a part of this ecosystem. But you didn't cause all this, but the hurt is sitting in your lap, right? So I'm going to give you a few ideas of things that you can do, but I don't want you or any of the listeners walking away being like, I can't believe you blamed her for this, because that's not what I'm doing at all. Not even a tiny bit. Okay, fair? Same team?
Yeah.
Okay. It is super, super, super common for a baby to be born. And dad looks at this baby, and he's been told by every Instagram account, every pastor in his life, every whatever, when you hold that baby, everything's different.
Yeah.
And you hold that baby, and everything's not different. You're just scared to death because you don't know what to do. And I'm not saying anything, Vanessa, but maybe in this situation, he has a very strong wife who has a very clear picture about the way things are going to be done and the way they're going to look. That's not how you do that. You do it like this. You do it like this. No. You do it like this. How come you didn't do that? Why didn't you know about that?
So I'm very aware of this, and that's why I have not said any of that.
Okay, well, hold on. Let me finish, okay? Because I'm not blaming here. I'm just walking alongside you. So, and possibly it happens by degrees. And I don't know any guy who has thought this out loud. But it happens by degrees, which is I'm not good at fill in the blank.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do diapers right. I'm trying to be able to read, like, should I get up right now? Should I help right now? Should I just sit right here? What am I like? And absent some very clear, helpful instructions, it's tough. But here's what many good men do. They say, I'm not good here, but I'm going to be awesome at work. Or I'm going to make sure this car is running like a top and the roof is always fixed and the yard looks perfect. Because that's a thing they know how to do, and they can convince themselves that that's a thing that helps the family, which in a way it is. And then wife is sitting here feeling that slow peel away. And you snap your fingers and you blink and it's 2 years and you find yourself 4 inches apart on the couch and you're 4,000 miles away from each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I promise, based on what you've told me about who this guy was and the role he's played in your life, I bet he would give everything to have a close relationship with this kid. But maybe he's never had an opportunity to have a 2-year-old go, no, daddy, and run away and not realize that it's not because he's a terrible father, but it's because there's a knuckleheaded little 2-year-old.
Yeah, I see that happening a lot, and I see him getting hurt because when my son's like, no, and then he doesn't want anything to do with him, and he's like, well, you see, I tried.
Yeah.
And I can see him getting his feelings hurt, and I'm trying to remind him, he's just too,
right.
But
and so, and listen, if he was on the phone with me, I would tell him those moments sting, and I don't care. You got to keep showing up, and you got to keep showing up, because that will change to something fun, and that will change to something silly. Or a lot of dads try to start imposing life lessons on 2-year-olds. I was the worst. Like my son would do something and I would be like, that's not the kind of man we're going to be. Oh my gosh, he's 2. He's 2, right? We need to play with balloons and mud and soccer balls and sticks and fish. Like, this is not the moment for life lessons. He's absorbing life lessons from me at the mitochondrial level, but my explaining crap to my 2-year-old is no good. And all I have to say is this. Often men find themselves in these moments with their toolkit, and it only has 3 tools in it. One of them was given to them by their dad, and their dad also gave them 4 other ones that they threw out because they were no good. And it's really, really frustrating for a wife who has a very clear picture of how she wants this thing to look. And so the only path forward is not this moment of my husband sucks. He's not the man I wanted him to be. He's not the dad I wanted him to be. It's an understanding that every single moment of your life is different now. What was is now over. It's gone. And that's not a bad thing, because what you can rebuild and what you can become can be infinitely better than what was. You thought it was fun just having this cool, fun relationship where y'all made out all the time and y'all just went out to eat all the time and all that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
You can have that times 100. When you have a kid, you're doing life together, you're building something amazing together. He's coming home dead asleep because he's so tired from working so hard, and you are coming home and you're dead asleep from raising kids. All the stuff. It's this beautiful thing. Here's my path forward if I was you, okay?
Okay.
I would take him out and say, we're going to go eat somewhere, and I want you to get a babysitter. So it's just y'all two. And I want you to be open about the things that you wish you could have back. Now, again, please know, in not 1 ounce am I blaming you for any of this. 0. But I want
I understand that.
I want you to be the person who lights the fire for this thing to move forward. And if you sit down and y'all go to breakfast together and you plan on spending 3 or 4 hours at this restaurant and you're going to begin to build a blueprint for this new life because now you got kids. And you sit down at that table and say, you're not being the dad, you're not being the husband, you're not being the man that I knew, then he has to throw a wall up to defend himself.
Right.
And so
at that point, he just doesn't listen to anything.
Yeah, he checks out. And you probably have done that before, right? Maybe.
Maybe once.
Whatever. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit down and say, I'm sorry. If I could do this all over again, the moment I found out I was pregnant, we would have been right here at this very table dreaming about what our life could look like together. And here's my picture of being a parent. What's your picture of being a parent? And what scares you about being a dad? And what are things that you don't have any idea what's coming? Because Vanessa, I'm telling you, I was a pretty plugged in dad. I really wanted to be good at it, and I had no idea about how some of the stuff worked. And I went to the internet to try to find things. There's not a lot of help for dads to be helpful around the house. And then I went to some of the Christian literature, and it's trash. It's nonsense. It's awful. And so I got stuck. And then I decided I'm just going to be so great at work. I'm going to be amazing at work because I'll make a bunch of money for my family. And
so those are some very good talking points. Asking him if he could redo it again, what would you do differently, from the beginning?
But you go first. You say, right. I would have been more clear. I would have told you, oh my gosh, kids poop 400 times a day. And until the kid's about 3, they're going to toggle between lots of hugs and lots of, no, Dad, no. And it's not personal. They're just a bundle of nerves. And so when they say, no, Dad, and they run away, then you can say, here comes, it can be turned into some silly game.
Yeah.
Or you can just get a hose and go pour it outside in your backyard until it just turns into a small mud hole, and Dad can just plop down in it in his shorts. And the kid will just sit down and y'all can smear mud all over each other. And that kid will tell that story at his funeral because he'll see the pictures. He won't remember it, right? It's both completely recalibrating this thing with very clear direction and instruction. And maybe you give him permission to say, how have I made this hard for you, husband?
Yeah.
And give him an opportunity to speak. But I promise you, based on what you've told me about him, he doesn't want to be here either.
Yeah.
And then if you leave this breakfast with, we have a united picture of what parenting is going to look like. Once a week, he's going to have kid all to himself, even screams, cries, all that. Some of the greatest gifts I had was that my wife taught graduate school 2 nights a week, and I had Hank all by myself. And he would scream, he would cry, he would have just regular newborn issues that I had no idea what I was doing. But I had to figure it out. I had to figure it out.
Yeah.
I had to call old friends. I had to call old buddy. I had to call everybody. But I had to figure it out. And so all I have to say is y'all come up with whatever roadmap works for y'all. And instead of sitting back and being like, he's failing me, he's not the guy I married, let's lean back in with some very clear, on these nights I need help with. I would like to spend 2 nights a week just watching a show after the baby's gone down or while I'm feeding the baby, and you just hold my hand and we watch a show. Will you just rub my shoulders and tell me that I'm pretty for about the next 30 minutes, please? Would you, right? Let's be very specific. And if this was Hollywood, it would be so awesome if he just knew all this stuff by osmosis. He doesn't. He doesn't. And if you do all this, y'all lay this out, and he commits, you commit, you're in, and then come Monday, and for the next 6 weeks after that, he just goes back to work. Now you got a problem. Because now he's choosing, I'm going to go back to what's easy. I'm going to go back to what I know. I'm going to go back to checking out. And then there's a time for grief and a time for marriage counseling. But I think, based on what you've told me, you're in and he's in and you want this thing to work, and I promise he wants something different. And like I say, I'm happy to talk to him if he wants to call in. Whew. But I'd love for y'all to go out and just say, okay, we have a whole new life now. We're 2 years into kid 1. We may have more than one kid. Here's what I would do differently, and I'm sorry. What are some ways you've experienced me over the last few years? What are some things that scare you to death about this baby as he's getting older or she's getting older? And let's start there. I'm highly optimistic for you guys, Vanessa. I'm really proud of you. I'm really proud of you.